the epitome of a rock star, a mashup of Run DMC meets Beastie Boys, meets Big Daddy Kane, meets Sugar Hill Gang, meets Go-Go Bordello. A jack of all musical trades, master of rap, a white kid from Kentucky who grabbed a mic and never looked back. Mr. Bret Hawkins, lead singer of
Oh,
Altered Egos and regular guest of Our Friends Electric, welcome to What a Fuster Cluck.
oh my goodness. Let me just tell you, holy cow. That was amazing. Like, man, you just made me feel good about something I never really felt good about. So,
How about that? How about that? How do you like those mashups, right? Any of
man,
those bands speak to you?
absolutely. That was really awesome, my dear. Thank you.
Very good. So Brett and I know each other through my husband Ryan. So thank you, Ryan, for that introduction.
Yes.
And I remember when I first met you, I was just immediately magnetized to your personality. Having not
Oh,
even, okay, let's rewind a little bit. Let's tell a true story. So
uh-oh.
the first time I met you, we weren't even properly introduced, but I remember you had your son. He was really little at the time. We were up at the band shell and you were just kind of cutting through the crowd and everybody said, "What's up?" And they were like, "There's Hawkins." And I'm like, "Okay, there he is. That's the guy." The second time I met you, you were performing on stage at what was ultimately the moment in my relationship with Ryan where I'm like, okay, we're not just friends. Like, this guy actually likes me. And we were at a strip club and you were performing.
Oh my goodness. I still get so many compliments about what we did at that show. That was an interesting story, by the way.
Yeah, and we were front row. We were there to see you, not the strippers. That was the story I was told, right? To get me, up in that strip club and feeling like, okay,
Nice.
cool, let's go see your rock star friend. I'm totally down. And so that was the second time I saw you. Third time, obviously, we were going to a NASCAR race, and that's kind of when we got to really chop it up, and I got to know
Yeah.
you a little better. And of course, over the years, just learned more and more about you. You wrote a custom song, and you did a rap at my wedding, me and Ryan's wedding. So, woo. So I just really want to share your story because I think one of the most impressive things about you is you have your day job, right? Which you love, but you have
Absolutely.
never lost your passion for music. And so let's take it back to when you first remember picking up a microphone or writing or rehearsing, performing, and tell us that story.
Well, I'll take you back a little further than that, honestly. My childhood was definitely filled with music. My mother was a piano major, teacher. We definitely did the whole Christmas caroling in the household kind of thing. So I really wish I had that VHS tape of my corny family singing Christmas carols while my mom played piano.
Me too.
But like in the early 80s, my father, and if you guys remember the old record players, they had headphones that were ginormous and the cord was only like a foot long,
Hmm.
right? So my dad would play me all old jazz, Jethro Tull, like all kinds of different eclectic music. But he and I would sit in front of the record player and he would spread those headphones so my little head and his head could fit in there.
Oh,
And he taught me so much about like classic rock and jazz and blues, and so much music was just like flowing through my veins at a very young age. Obviously picked up playing drums at 4, and obviously went through school learning drums, and that was like a big deal to me, is the whole rhythm aspect of music and that kind of thing. So it really all started there. It really didn't have much to do with a microphone until I got out of high school, to be totally honest with you.
wow. All
Everything was
right.
real. Yeah. I
Okay,
was
cool.
definitely into marching snare and jazz percussion. I mean, I was drummer through and through. Like 3 of my classes throughout high school was all like marching bands, concert band, jazz band. Like I didn't want to skip school because then that means I wouldn't get to play music all day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my friends were skipping school because the waves were good. I was the guy that was like, no, I can't miss fifth period.
I can't miss band practice.
That's right. Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so I was actually going to say, how did you grow up? Who were your biggest influences musically or otherwise, and kind of who did you look up to? So you've already kind of answered that question that your mom was really sort of the first point, and then your dad, of course, and the two of you listening to the music. You listed off a few bands, but who would you say were your biggest top three influences when you actually got to the point where you wanted to start writing and performing?
Yeah. I would say my biggest influence. just by osmosis, I guess, was Sting and the Police. The Police was like my favorite band, and they were a three-piece. That was really cool to me, just how much sound and how amazing, Sting was to begin with. And the songwriting was like American reggae before American reggae was a thing. You know what I mean? There's just so much about how Sting was as a musician that just totally like that totally sparked me as a writer and as a musician for sure. That's definitely the top one. Kansas was just very symphonic, even though they weren't a symphonic band. So Kansas, that was like my first concert. I saw Kansas at Finkeys with my mom and dad when I was like 13 years old.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
at Finkeys, right? Like that's crazy, isn't it?
Oh my God.
It was awesome for me because I mean there was all these ladies serving us drinks and like
Oh
high school
yeah.
bikinis. I was like, Dad, this is the greatest thing ever, man. Like
Hey, maybe that's what did it. You're like, I want to
maybe that's
dabble
what
in
did
some of
it. Yeah.
this.
Maybe it was my first concert being
That's
Kansas. Yeah.
amazing. I never would have guessed you would have said Sting, so you're already surprising me. And now I can't get the song Roxanne out of my head. It's just playing over and over again in my head.
Yes, 100%.
So, all right, cool. Sting. Interesting. Interesting. So, now wait, Roxanne. Who sang Roxanne? I want to say the Police. Who sang
Yes, that's great.
Roxanne?
Yeah,
Okay. But
absolutely.
same singer, right?
Oh, absolutely. Sting. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Okay, cool. All right, got it. Um, when you let's get beyond the high school point. Let's get to the point where you're actually going to start performing. How did you
Yeah.
get there?
So it actually started out. It's a really cool thing actually. Like Mike McAfee, the other guy that I wrote songs with, and the other MC in the band of Altered Egos. Mike and I were like we were like estranged friends. It was really weird. Like my junior year, he was a senior, and like whenever I'd see we both drove Mustangs, but whenever I'd see him, it was just like that thing. You just kind of wave to somebody, and he and I just had this connection even before we really met each other because we kind of knew each other through other people and all that.
Hmm.
In our senior year, we became really, really good friends. And I started to get to know, like, he was from Ohio. So he was from big city, and
Yeah.
I'm Daytona boy through and through. Right.
Yeah.
And then he started telling me when we were getting together, he started telling me that he writes and he does all this stuff. And I was literally like, man, that's pretty amazing. And then we would start throwing these parties at his dad worked in Fort Lauderdale.
Hmm.
So he was never home on the weekends. He was never home on the weeknights. So it became like the house that we always hung out at. We always threw parties there. And that was crazy in the pill
Yep.
era.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
pill time period. So everybody
Mhm.
was all crazy partying out. But what Mike and I would do is I'd set up my drum kit and I would play drums for like 3 or 4 hours, and Mike would just freestyle for
Oh my
hours on
God.
end at these parties. And like
Hmm.
everybody would crowd around. It just became this thing. It was like, hey, are you guys doing the freestyle stuff on Friday? Like when you're doing the party.
Hmm.
So I got so much, like there was so much I got out of it from him, like that influence of him, that I got tired of playing drums. Like I don't want to be behind the drum kit, man. Like
Give
I
me the
want to be,
mic. Give me the
yeah, I want
mic.
to be out front. So I really didn't choose hip hop. It just kind of chose me, kind of thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
because when it comes to writing, like as I progressed as a writer, then I started writing blues songs for other bands and stuff like that. So I did progress as a writer down the road, but really the rhythmic aspect of the syllables and the wording and how you fit the puzzle and the pieces together and the formula of making a song,
Hmm.
that was very exciting to me. Like that became something that it was really fun to mess with. What can I do within the syllables or in the structure of a 4 bar and those kinds of things? That's when music and songwriting became really fun for me because I got to still be a drummer,
Yeah.
but still get to like move the crowd and be an MC for sure.
So this is a perfect opening to ask the question because you've talked about rapping, being an MC, seeing your buddy up on the mic, you're feeling the fire, you want to do the thing. We're
Yeah.
talking the 90s, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
So did you ever feel a sense of imposter syndrome at all?
Yes. Even now.
Interesting.
Um,
How did you get beyond that?
I don't think I ever have. And with our friends Electric, I get it all the time. Oh, when is the white rapper coming? When's the white rapper coming? Like it's a stigma, it's a thing. Like, and here's the other thing. Like this is not our culture. And I understood the roots of hip hop and the 4 elements and what that all means. And
Hmm.
like the Beastie Boys was a breakthrough, and that's pretty awesome. Like MC
Yeah.
Search was a breakthrough. That's pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Hmm. Hmm.
But to myself, I never looked at myself as having the level of respect in the industry or the level of respect amongst my peers to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike did give me that courage. Mike gave me that feeling of, yes, you do belong, and those kinds of things. And, the reality is you guys, everybody in the Daytona community made it feel like it was okay too. Right. So,
Mm.
I never want to call it an imposter thought process.
Mm.
It's more that, do I deserve to belong?
Mm-hmm.
Like you get judged more by the color of your skin doing something that's different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's the polar opposite of what it normally looks like as the white boy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it's
It was
interesting
that
now.
the reverse music racism or whatever you want to call that, the
Mm-hmm.
respect that you. But I will tell you, there was one thing that happened a long time ago. Mike and I would go to freestyle battles where
Mm-hmm.
there was money involved and all that, and there was a place here in Daytona that definitely wasn't a place we should be going to. And I felt very uncomfortable there the whole night, and so did Mike. But they treated us amazingly, and it was always whenever we would show up, they would go, "Oh, the boys that came to play are here." So that was kind of like a moment for me that I realized, like, hey, we do belong because
Yeah.
we're getting respect from others, saying, okay, these guys know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
that's
You
kind of
have a seat at the table.
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yes. Okay. Interesting. So again, never would have guessed that because the person that you kind of radiate is this confident being. So I think it's important for people who know you or people who don't to know that even these many decades later from when you first started, it still kind of sits in there
Yeah,
somewhere.
and here's the other thing. Like for me, getting on stage is home. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
why the charisma and all those things happen. Is just that's where home is for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is I applaud anybody that puts themselves out there as a songwriter, as a folk singer, as an MC. Like people can say something, a lot of times I used to make a joke, underground is underground because it sucks, right? Like you can say all you want to, oh, I'm underground, yo. Well, whatever. That's
Yeah.
because you suck, like
Yeah.
you're not good. But
Yeah.
the reality is like people that have the confidence to put their words on paper and actually recite them, go in a studio, create this logic and a vision and make the puzzle happen. Like
Mm-hmm.
I applaud anybody that does it. And I had that nose in the air attitude when I
Mm.
when we got big. But
Mm-hmm.
looking back on it, like that's why I love our friends Electric. I literally just love the fact that I get to run in a space where I can be free and charismatic and entertain people. At the end of the day, you can call me what you want, but at the end of the night, you're going to be like, man, that was really awesome. You guys are all like, that's really all I care about is I can make one person smile, then my day is done. But
Exactly. And it
I
always
think a
makes
lot
me
of people, yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think a lot of people like don't really put themselves out there because they're scared of the backlash of what can happen or how people can make you feel. So I applaud anybody that puts a guitar out there. Like they do this cool thing with Locals Mix right now at this brewing company on Beach Street, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday nights they have like an open mic, and all these people that can't get a gig or do anything go
Yeah.
there. It's just a really cool thing that they're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing I can hang my hat on is there wasn't in a venue in Daytona until we put this band together. And Claudio had a lot to do with that. Like
Mm-hmm.
Claudio had an influence with some of the bar owners because he was already in the punk rock bands and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Where like I never was going to be in a band where I had a music background and I just had a microphone. I didn't want to be that.
Yeah.
I knew very quickly we're not going to get booked. So looking back on my career in music with Altered Egos, the biggest thing that I'm proud of is that I literally feel like we gave hip hop a voice in Daytona, which is a really cool thing to like hang your hat on, I guess.
Oh God, yeah. Especially when think about the music that was dominating at the time, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So it is a big deal and it kind of speaks to the popularity of the crew that you were with and the things that you were doing and putting yourself out there. What I was going to say was anytime somebody says something like that, it always makes me think of the quote, it's not the critic who counts, it's the man in the arena.
100%.
And I just think, even if you don't like the music or you don't like the sound or you don't like what somebody has to say, the reality is they're out there doing it and that takes balls, right? So,
It does. Absolutely.
um so we touched on my perception sort of your personality, giant personality, heart of a teddy bear. How do you think, just this happy-go-lucky, outgoing dude, just radiating positivity. How do you think that's contributed to your success, both musically and with your day job? Let's point out that, you're looking good. You got the jacket on,
Hey, hey.
you got the blue wall behind you. You're at work, right? Or
Yeah.
this is so music isn't your day job per se.
No, I wouldn't be here if that were
Yeah,
the case. Yeah.
exactly. So, How do you think that your personality, your style has just kind of given you success both in your career life and your music life?
Yeah. I think a little bit of it will first off experience, my 20s. I spent my 20s building my business and building, my experience out in the marketplace with
Mm.
insurance.
Hmm.
I spent my 30s, growing in leadership and understanding that, if you're a W-2 leader, it's really easy to hold people accountable.
Hmm.
But when you lead a bunch of 1099s, you better lead, not manage, right? So
Yeah.
there's a difference in caring about people first, and
Hmm.
I think I've been that way my whole entire life. I think that's just who I am as a person. So from leadership standpoint, if as long as you care about your team and we're all in a community together, I think the 1099s feel like they have a safe space to speak freely
Mm.
and be in an organization where they know that they have a voice. And I've felt that way with my friends.
Hmm.
I've treated that kind of thought process or philosophy my entire life. So everybody's welcome. I never met a stranger, and I'm that kind of person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
I
first
know.
happy hour. Like, yeah, that's just me in a nutshell. So, I guess me just being a parrot and always, willing to welcome somebody in or talk to somebody has never really did me wrong. I guess in all aspects of my life.
Yeah, yeah. So you brought up happy hour. So back in the day, in your younger days, how would you say like drugs and alcohol influenced your musical ability or
Sure.
boosted your confidence or even kind of drug you down, made you write better, think differently? What was that experience like?
Yeah, my childhood. I mean, again, it was a time period where ecstasy, all LSD, all these things were like a crazy, crazy. I mean, it was nuts
Yeah.
in the late '90s here in Daytona.
Mm.
So yes, those things were. I think my eyes were opened up a little bit more than most people because I started to lose a lot of friends.
Mm.
So it kind of changed the aspect of the way I experimented and those kinds of things because I was just watching people that I cared very deeply of either dying in a car accident, overdose, whatever it may be. We had a ton of losses like right as soon as I graduated high school that really it kind of shocked me that nobody
Hmm.
was changing their behaviors, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There was a lot of time like man, I got two really good albums done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time period for me. But yes, there was a time where it was like, okay, this is not going to take me places in my life and spaces where I want to be,
Yeah.
even musically. Like, yes, there's
Hmm.
only so long that you can hang on to a great idea because of being in a warped sense of reality. So, and
Yeah.
that's I mean, yes, it was good, it was fun, but the reality was that's not the longevity of what I was trying to accomplish. So yeah, it was a short period of time, but yeah, you're right. Those things affected me negatively. They affected me positively. And I have to say, a lot of those experiences, I think, looking at my son and looking at myself, like back at myself, it's like, man, I
Yeah.
hope he has the wherewithal to be the person that says, you know what, I can't do this or I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. I just hope he has the self awareness to
Hmm.
make those smart decisions because it can take you down a road that I've seen it too often.
I know. Well, addiction can grab hold pretty quickly. I
Yeah,
I actually tell my boys, I have addiction very much in my family. I'm very aware of it. I tell them things like one pill can kill, and they're only 8 and 10. But I feel
yeah.
as though the younger they are when we have these conversations and the more realistic I am, hopefully they'll think twice. What's interesting though about our kids or how I feel about it versus, you think about Hendrix, right?
Hmm.
Pink Floyd, you can almost feel the moment when drugs came into the picture, right?
Fair enough.
It did. The music sounded totally different. Okay.
100%. Yep.
Like think about the early Beatles music. Okay. You're familiar with all of these things, so I'm not
Oh,
telling you anything you don't know. However, what's interesting though is I feel like our kids, one of the things I'm really hopeful for, and statistically, I keep seeing and reading that kids are not drinking the way they used to. They're not like
good.
partying the way they used to.
Yeah.
They're not dabbling, right? It still happens. There's
Yeah.
still tons of tragedy. We're still losing too many people to it. Fentanyl is obviously a huge problem.
Big time.
But overall, it seems that more kids are actually not doing those things. And I'm wondering if it's because for kids like us, I can't speak for your parents, but my dad was insanely strict, very strict.
Yeah.
And so I also think about other people who just maybe they didn't live a bad life or have a tumultuous childhood. Maybe everything was great, but they're just doing it because their friends are doing it or whatever. There's something about our generation and maybe a little bit our parents, but not so much because they had the hippie thing going,
Sure.
um, is that we kind of encourage our kids to wear their heart on their sleeve, right? Don't be ashamed of your emotions, right? Especially for boys, men, like all that bottling things up and what does that do for you in the long run? And so I wonder if for our kids it's just less enticing because they're sort of already
They're not
being,
masking.
yeah, they're more encouraged to talk about your problems. You know, if you need help, get help. You have people who are here for you. Maybe you don't want to talk to mom and dad because we're lame, but like here's
It's true.
Mr. Brett, you know, or whoever your mentor, your coach.
By the way, I'll talk to your kids any day of the week about their addictions or
You're on
anything.
the list. Thank you. Good, because we're this close to a
That's
real
good. That's
problem.
good.
But no, I really do think that because I know for a lot, you know, I lost friends. It was very interesting because I don't want to like speak for anybody who's not on the podcast, but for me, because of what I watched my parents go through, I could have gone one way or the other. Luckily for
Yeah.
me, I was so turned off by what I saw in my parents that I didn't ever do an illicit drug. I smoked weed, full disclosure,
Yeah.
and I drank, but I never did anything. That's it. That's what I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Never did pills, never did anything. What's funny though is now that I'm in my 40s, and there's all this documentation coming out about the benefits of psilocybin, you know.
Right.
I'm like, give me some shrooms. Like I'm constantly teetering on going to Mexico and having an ibogaine experience. Because I think there's something to be said for that too. I honestly had to bottle up a lot for myself and I didn't really like come into my personality until like way later in life. And so for me, I almost wonder what's behind the curtain that I haven't seen yet. And I don't want to say I regret not doing it when I was younger, but there's a part of me that wonders, like, would I have been able to unlock something sooner?
That's fair.
So this isn't me promoting, like, everybody go out, like, you know, like drop acid
Well,
or whatever. Totally not that. But I do think it's interesting to see what's coming out in medical research now
fair enough.
for
Yeah.
people with PTSD, people with addiction. Isn't it interesting that something like psilocybin, which
Yeah.
had such a stigma, is now one of the top treatments for people with addiction? So
Yeah.
I think that's all very interesting and I think we can talk about the negatives of it, but also sort of appreciate some of the creativity that it may have brought out in people who otherwise might not have been able to release that valve, is
That's fair.
my thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what speaks to you most in music? Is it the beat, the lyrics? What is it?
I think the dumb are mostly intrigued by the drum.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I do think that I would say more than anything, it's melodies. Melodies are like colors for me.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so like there's times like you'll be listening to a song and I'm literally just listening to the triangle in the background, like and
Yeah.
nobody even knows there's a triangle in the song. You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
know what that means, but I'm
That's
intrigued.
in a nutshell. Yeah, like I hear music like a vibration of colors. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say it's more melodies for me than it is the lyrics or the drum. But
Yeah.
yeah, now some songs are very, very simple and very folky, but the words move me like to
Hmm.
no end. So yeah, it just depends on the mood and what my colors are for that day, I guess.
All right. So, three songs. What's the first song that comes to mind when you think of your childhood?
Ooh, probably Point of No Return.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of scary to think, but yeah.
Second one. Think about late 90s, early 2000s. What comes to mind for you there?
Late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, late 90s was like the end of like the great hip hop era for me, like
Yeah, I
Nas, the
totally
Wu.
agree.
That
Yeah.
so yeah, I think the late 90s are just when hip hop died for me.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, say no more. Nas is a
Yeah,
perfect artist to throw in there, if even if
100%.
not a song. And then tell me something you've heard recently. Is there any new music you've heard recently that you thought, damn, that's good?
I will tell you right now, if you guys haven't checked it out, the Black Pumas, I want to
Okay.
say in like 2022, put out an amazing album that's very nostalgic. It's literally like revisiting the 70s all over again.
Mm,
The Black Pumas have definitely been something that's influenced me lately.
sweet. I'm going to put that in the show notes for anybody
Yeah.
who's not familiar. I've not heard of them, so I will check that out.
Oh man, you're in for a really good treat. I'll tell you that.
What do you think about AI and its impact on music?
I think, well, first off, we're all doomed anyway, so
I
I'm not going to get on that. I'm not going to get on that plane. But we
Yeah.
have we have AI artists now. Timberland's put out an AI artist that's killing the charts, and you can really talk into your phone, a song about poop and make it a country song, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you have a song. So, I mean, there's going to be a space for that, but I'm sorry, there's never going to be a space where you can not have that human feel
Mm,
come through on a song. So yes, you're going to have a lot of words that come out, and they come out in a puzzle that makes the formula amazing, and it's a song. But you're never going to get away from the real raw aspect of life built from a human being writing the song. So I still think there's hope there. I just don't
mm.
think there's hope in any other aspect of our life.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm glad you're saying that because I'll tell you, a lot of people are like, why did you start podcasting? The market is so saturated. And I just kept seeing all these signs. I'm a big believer in signs. You just have to be open to finding them or hearing them, right?
100%.
And every time I think I shouldn't release that episode or whatever, inevitably there's some sign that comes and it's like you're going to do this. And so one of the reasons I decided to start this podcast is because everything feels like a Fuster Cluck. So I just feel like it's appropriate for the time. And when I really heard the statistics, yes, there's a lot of podcasts out there, but there aren't as many as you think that actually keep up with it regularly. But three, and probably should be in first place, you nailed it, and it's authenticity. I think that our kids are so saturated with technology in a way that we never were simply because it's moving so much faster than it moved when we started having those introductions. Okay. What's
Yeah.
cool about our generation is we remember the rotary phone. We had a rotary phone
We
in the
did.
basement at the house, okay? I remember when there was no call waiting. I remember the damn busy signal. I remember long distance phone calls,
Oh yes.
the big old cordless phones, the very first cell phone, right? That brick, and people would have a car phone if you knew somebody
Yeah.
with
The
money.
bag phone.
Dude, but like think of just the evolution seemed so much more slower. And
Oh, and
now,
my brother and I, like, it was torture when we wanted to talk to girls because
yeah,
first off, mom and dad didn't want us tying up the phone line, but
yeah.
then like my brother and I had to like argue over when I got to make the call, and then I was on the phone too long, so it was doing the whole like, no, you hang up, no,
Yeah.
you hang up.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
God. I
dude, just
know.
get off the phone. So yeah,
Butterflies.
yeah, that was a
Yeah.
crazy time.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the authenticity. I think you really hit that on the head is AI can do a lot for us, but I think people are going to really start to crave human interaction. And I also am glad to see that there's a focus act being put on technology now where people are acknowledging how you say the word algorithm to someone today. 8 out of 10 people are going to know what you mean by that.
It's true.
5 years ago, nobody knew what an algorithm was. Everybody was just like scrolling on this thing and not having any idea why they couldn't stop scrolling. Now we know this thing is designed to keep you there. So I think the awareness is crucial, and I'm thankful that we have that and it's coming out more and more. And because of that, I think I'll tell you, I had an intern over the summer. Great kid, gave me so much hope for the future. And he was so aware of the negatives of technology, yet he was getting a degree in technology and,
Mm.
focusing on AI a lot. And I thought these are the kind of minds we need are the ones that are like, this tool is great for all of these things, but remember at the end of the day, we're still human, and it's the authenticity, the feeling, the emotion, knowing that a human being wrote that song, sang that song, felt that heartbreak, felt
Correct.
that joy versus a computer. I just think it will always carry a different weight.
Yeah, AI is never going to make us feel the nostalgia of that first crush or,
Mm,
like there's so many things about a song that's written and it comes from a place in your heart
Yeah.
that touches the masses, that
Mm-hmm.
AI is never going to be able to grab that moment and
Mm-hmm.
accentuate it. They'll
Yeah.
be able to grab moments across, all of other songwriting, but it's not going to have that authenticity like you talked about.
Yeah. What are your true loves in life?
Ooh, baby, my wife.
Ooh, I love it. I knew you were
I
gonna
love
say
me some. I love me some jam.
that.
Uh, and then
I love that.
obviously our kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to say I just love my life right now. Like everything is right where it needs to be. I found my needle in a haystack.
Mm.
Beautiful kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong in my life right now. I get to play every once in a while with our friends Electric and go ham it up, but still hang out with my wife like it's a date night.
Yeah.
And I still get to play with our friend, our alter egos, which is like my heart. My heart
Mm-hmm.
and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Scott and Claudio, love you, dudes.
Mm-hmm.
They're great human beings.
How
But
long did it take you to get there?
yeah, it took me a while to get there. I'd probably say 45 is when I finally just said, "Man,
Damn.
I got to start being grateful."
Yes, a gratitude practice.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
telling you, I people make fun of me all the time because I think when people think of a gratitude practice, they think they have to dig really deep. And I'm like, I will literally write down toilet paper
yeah.
because
That's fair.
hello, fair.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
Losing
indoor plumbing, right?
losing Mike McAfee
Mm,
to that massive heart attack
dude.
really just kind of put life in perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He wasn't doing music with me anymore, but that was a piece of my heart that was kind of gone,
Yeah.
and that was hard for me to adjust to as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
That one really kind of just put a lot of things in perspective for me, and to be grateful for the days we have and the relationships and the people that we have. So yeah, I tell all my friends I love them every time I see them, even though they get annoyed by it. But that's just kind of who I've become because of those things.
Yeah. And when you were younger and you talked about some of the loss you experienced there, you could put something behind it. You could say, oh, this was drugs. But you and I are at the age now, we're totally full-fledged midlife.
Yeah,
And now, when you lose someone, it really is a different kind of a reality check because
yeah,
we're still young enough where we're like, I got time. And then tragedy happens and you
yeah,
lose someone so young and so abruptly, and someone who still had so much runway in front of them. And who
yeah,
knows, right? What their life could have continued to become. And that's powerful. And it's going to hit us all, I think, in different ways. Some people will do what you're doing and you take that gratitude approach because it's a wake up call, I think.
yeah.
And others, end up just kind of in a rut. But did that did his passing impact your approach to your health and wellness?
It did not. I mean, maybe unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to a point where, the doctor was my AC. I'll be honest, my AC1 was not in a good place. And the doctor was like, "Hey, dude, you're literally borderline diabetic. Like something's got to change in your life."
Mm-hmm.
And I like eating a 16-ounce steak and not stepping away from the table. So there was a lot about my life that I just needed to change, and it was kind of like that breaking point of here. You're either going to be here, or you're going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what started on my journey, I guess, is the doctor basically telling me I have to put my foot down.
Yeah.
Personally, yeah,
Yeah. And I think for a lot of us we need that sometimes. Not everybody is just going to go ahead and decide one day to step away from the table. And I did this amazing episode with a girl named Rachel Eade who came on and talked about her explant journey and the illnesses that she was dealing with when she had the implants and just not necessarily kind of like having the correlation. And one day she said something that really resonated with me. And one of my biggest takeaways from that episode was she said, your body will whisper before it screams. And who's going to listen to the whispers? And who's going to get stuck
yeah,
listening to the scream, right? So your friend passing, your close friend at that, and then the doctor tells you you're borderline diabetic.
yeah.
Either you're going to keep going hard in the paint and change nothing and wait for the scream, or you're going to start to like heed the warning. How are you feeling
Yeah.
since you've changed things around? What's the biggest
Oh
things that you've changed?
my goodness. Well, first, if I will say one of the other I guess, catalysts or things that really affected me was watching my wife go through the autoimmune thing. Like when the
Mm,
doctors just kept telling her she's fine, she's beautiful, like she's
yeah.
got everything ready to go, like her blood work is perfect, like they're checking all the boxes, but she's
Hmm.
still telling them like I feel like my body is breaking, you know.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
watching that internal collapse for her, like really, like she was like going psychotic, really, like I need help, and the Mayo
Yeah.
Clinic finally helped her. A lot of that really just kind of made me go, man, there's so much going on in the background, you know, like you said, like it's whispering now, but it was definitely
Yes.
screaming for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I
and
would
then,
love to have her on to talk about that. Hint, hint.
yeah, you should, because her, yeah, that's a really like gripping story about what she.
Gripping story, but also just not quitting on yourself. And I've done several episodes now on being your own health advocate because
Yeah,
it's really easy for your symptoms to just get swept under the rug.
yeah,
And I know she pushed for herself, which was the best
yeah.
thing she could have done.
I took a lot from your just do it thought
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
because there was a lot of that that came along with, you know, you kind of made me reflect on my weight journey and my health
Yeah.
journey when you were talking about, it's like sometimes, because I'm very hesitant for change, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
it's just who I am as a human being, like I like things the way they are, but
Hmm.
we don't need to change them, they're working really well right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
when they really dove into my blood work and I had like more estrogen in my body than testosterone, like there were some eye-opening things. Like the doctor was
yep.
even like, "Are you lethargic?" I'm like, "No, I'm great, man. Like you
Sure.
haven't seen me. Like no, I'm great." And then all of a sudden, like when I started doing testosterone, like I literally was like, "Oh my gosh, like I
Oh.
am lethargic. I'm not anymore. Like holy cow, this is crazy." You know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. And you
Yeah.
notice a difference.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Big time.
I think the other important thing is too, I know people are going to hear you say that, and there's a lot of pill mills right now too, because functional and integrative medicine is becoming trendy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like posers out there. So I would just caution people. Hearing you talk about it, I'm on it too. I do testosterone low dose. It's 10 milligrams every day. Total game changer for me. And I
Yeah.
also do progesterone. And eventually, when I get to a certain age, I'm going to introduce the estrogen kind of as I need to. But, the thing with hormones and stuff is I think people assume it's just part of aging. It's just a part of aging, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. And the reality is, we don't, this is going to sound cheesy, but we just don't get out into nature as much as we used to. We're not as physically active as we used to have to be when we were on our feet all the time, working in the factories, working in the farms,
Yeah.
doing the manual things that have been replaced by machines. And
Well,
so
think about how many people that work remote now.
dude, yes, exactly. And so I think a lot of people almost feel like a sense of shame. I think men experience this more than women, maybe, but
Fair.
I think for men, it's kind of like, what do you mean I don't have my testosterone? Like testosterone is the root of my being. And
Yeah.
it's almost like a what's wrong with me thing. But
I don't know. I kind of felt like as a man, I'm more of one of those estrogen guys anyway.
you're very in touch with yourself. But seriously, I mean, I just think it's worth saying out loud that number one, guys shouldn't be ashamed of it.
That's
Number
fair.
two, it's bound to happen and it's more common than not just because of our lifestyle changes. And there is a path for people out there. They should see a urologist if they don't want to go to an integrative place. Lots of
Yeah.
urologists can prescribe this stuff too. So it's not like you have to go to a functional practitioner, although you brought up the blood work. And for me, I think that's been the biggest game changer is actually having someone go through your blood work in such great
The right
detail.
way. The right way.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Don't just check
exactly.
the box at Florida healthcare. Like that's
No.
not that those people are literally doing archaic thought processes with
Yeah.
your sugars, your sodium intake. Like all of that is very archaic.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lady, Lauren Gillespie. She's amazing. She's like my right hand girl, and
Mm-hmm.
literally, like it's every 4 weeks we revisit. What are the supplements doing? Like how's everything going? Like she even the other day, it was really crazy because I was thinking that it was the testosterone, but my back was breaking out, and I was like,
Mm.
"Man, babe, like I don't know what the hell's going on. Like I don't have those problems, but it was
Yeah.
happening."
Yeah.
And I got on my virtual call with her after the blood work was done, and there were some things that were high and some things that were lower than normal.
Yeah.
And then she literally said on the call, she's like, "Are are you experiencing, is your back breaking out right now? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, what is that? I thought it was testosterone. I thought I was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
curly. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes
No,
sense.
she was like, no, there's something I have you on that I can see. Like, we need to get you off of that. I'm going to give you, like, she did this raw palmetto or whatever I'm on now.
Oh,
Salt.
saw palmetto. Saw
Yes,
palmetto.
salt palmetto, whatever
Yes.
that is.
Yes.
He's like, I'm going to put you on this instead of that. And blah. Like, she literally knew what was going on with me before I even like gave her the clue of what was going on. So it was really neat.
That's
She's been
amazing.
very in tune with me with, like through my B12 and all the other stuff that I'm doing, which is really awesome. So I do encourage people not to just go to some fly by night place. Like, you need to have a physician really doing this for you and making a plan with your
Yep.
blood work on a regular basis.
Yes. In fact, there's an absolute genius of a doctor. He's down in Melbourne and he's supposed to be coming on in a couple of weeks to talk about, how to avoid going to the pill mill style, like we're just going to give you the testosterone, and peptides
Right.
are a big thing. I was just chatting with a friend about peptides today and understanding, you can't just get a rando peptide off of Amazon, right?
Right.
Like these are delicate molecules, et cetera, et cetera. So I just get super stoked when I hear people are taking this approach to healthcare because I really believe it's the future. And I think it's going to help us later on in life. I read a book, I recommend it to everyone. It's called Outlive by Peter Attia.
You and I talked about that. Yeah.
Yep. And he has this massive checklist of things that you just don't even think about, but that if you don't put the work in now and continue to put the work in, by the time you're 70, 75, 80 or above, maybe even in your 60s for some people,
Sure.
your aches and pains are off the chart. You can't get up off the floor without help. You can't open a pickle jar. Just little things that you take for granted when you're young.
Yeah.
So I just love that you're doing that, and that it's helping you and that you're actually feeling the difference and that you found a good practitioner because that's clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the best advice you've ever been given that really stuck with you?
I will say it definitely has to come from work. I'll
Mm,
never forget when I was younger. I said, I don't know how you make it big in this business. Like, I don't understand. Like, all the gray hairs are telling me that they wish I would have done this when I was my age, right? And I'll never forget. Someone just told me, just all you have to do in this business is pick up the phone when they call, and they'll never get rid of you.
mm,
Probably the best advice because I spend more time being a service agent and taking care of people's claims and making sure they get the most money they deserve. And my renewals and my forever money is what I call it. My renewals and insurance are a whole lot larger than a salesperson's. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
probably the best advice I was ever given was pick up the phone when they call. They'll never get rid of you. And that's
That's
been the
awesome.
case. Still have policyholders from 1999 still today. So
Nice. That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, customer service is huge.
it's a
It's
dying art in our world nowadays
It
too.
is. And I really think, again, the authenticity with AI coming, and I think customer service. I had a friend who posted something online where she was talking about how she'll say, "Hi, how are you?" And people just don't respond. They just immediately go into the thing, like paper or
I see it at the
plastic.
grocery all the time, or
Yes.
at a store. The person will say, "Hey, how you doing today?" I'll have a number two, and it's like, "Oh, okay, you're doing
Yes, it's
okay."
like it's so robotic and it's almost again, it's also just we're so lucky because we didn't grow up in the era where we're just behind screens all the time. We know how to
Yeah,
interact with people and I
I
try to tell
know.
my kids, look people in the eye when they talk to you. Teach them certain levels of respect without having to make them uncomfortable. But yeah, somebody says these are actual adults, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, "How you doing?" And they're just like, "Do do 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 do," just on to the next thing. It's great.
My kids are always saying, "I wish I had your aura, Dad."
Yeah, that's true. Not a bad
Okay,
aura to
my
have.
kids need more aura.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you love you some jam, right? Your wife.
Some jam, yes.
So how have you two over the years, because y'all have been together for a while now, what advice do you have for people with a blended family?
Man, I will tell you, it's not for the faint of heart, for sure. I
Mm,
mean, being a support system and the understanding of the ways that she wants to maneuver the ex and the ways that I try to maneuver my ex, those are very delicate situations, and you can get yourself down some rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing I can say is, there's many, many ways to grow apart in life, and
Mm-hmm.
there's only one way to grow together. And that's just loving each other and communicating with each other. So constantly always communicate, whether it's good or whether it's bad.
Yeah.
I think it's like songwriting. For me, it's just like songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
People always want to write songs when they're in the mood to write, but the
Mm-hmm.
reality is every mood is a writing mood. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're a real writer, you're going to write when it's bad, you're going to write when it's good, you're going to write when it's indifferent, because you're going to get different aspects of your life and your heart out to the public when you do those things. So the same thing goes in your relationships. It's really easy to be communicative when it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to put your foot down when you're at your tipping point, but we just need to probably do a better job of accentuating when things are good and letting that person know that you see them. But yeah, there's 50 million ways to grow apart in a relationship. There's only one way to grow together, and that's that you both work together on it. I think that's the biggest thing.
I love that. So authenticity, communication, customer service.
Absolutely.
Our three, our three takeaways.
That's fair. That's fair. I love it.
And then just to put it into perspective for people who might be, not even necessarily with music, but just anything. How many how many times do you sit down to write a song and it never turns into something that you're going to
Oh
sing into a
my
microphone?
gosh. All the time.
Yeah.
And the problem is the songs that I really care about, that I'm so like delicate with the way that I treat it, because I know the idea and all the emotions that I have in it
Mm-hmm.
are going to be so amazing. But when you do not strike while the iron is hot, every single song that I've written that's been amazing, I wrote in 15 minutes, because
Wow.
I literally wrote it. It was there. The feeling was there. It's one emotion. It's one continued thought process. Every time that I have an idea that I work on periodically, my whole being changes. As a human being, I change over
Mm-hmm.
time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can never get back. I chase the dragon so much, I can never get back the feeling and the emotion that happened when the moment was that I came up
Mm-hmm.
with the idea and started the concept. So that's the biggest thing for me, is that I have so many songs that are sitting on a table right now, because and the other thing is I don't allow my ego to let it flow.
Yeah.
I'll literally write and be like, nope, that sucks. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. That stanza's not going to make it there. That's not good enough. And then I
Mm-hmm.
find myself not gooding enough everything, to where I literally not good myself out of the building. So yeah,
Yeah. Better
that's a
published than perfect.
yeah. I got to tell you, I do that to myself all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Bret Hawkins, this has been awesome,
Yeah,
entertaining, insightful, fun. I loved hearing your story. It's interesting as I have people on who, you think you know somebody and you still always have the opportunity to learn something new. So
absolutely.
I appreciate you. I appreciate the music you put out. I love seeing you perform. Love whenever we have the opportunity to see you perform. You are just like in your magic, in your element. It's incredibly inspiring. You're still kicking it. You're still getting up there doing your thing. You got testosterone pumping. You're good.
Absolutely.
Anything you'd like to close us out with?
No, I
A
just want to say,
song you want to plug? Anything?
no, I really want to plug you. Like, I have absolutely enjoyed plugging into you and listening from start to finish. And what you're doing is really cool. I love that you have diversity in your thought process. And anything, like, people out there, like, people are striving to find something and do something. And I love the fact that you put yourself out there and did it. I know you tried this once, but now you're really making the effort to do it. And I know this will take you places. So I'm just really super proud of you and what you're doing. So
Oh, thanks, Britt.
glad, I'm glad that you allowed me to come on.
Awesome. I love it. I'm glad we could work this out. You'll be on again, repeat offender.
That's fair. I can do it whenever you want me to, sweetheart.
Awesome, Brett. I appreciate the time today. Thank you so much.
All right, sweetheart. You have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
Take care.